It's only a matter of time. The grafting process always has a few setbacks. Can't make an arm without breaking a few eggs. Every day and everywhere.
So you might think that was a mutant corpse they just threw in that truck, but that is not the case. They mentioned the grafting process, which is the process by which you attach mutant body parts to yourself. So that was one of their own human they threw in the truck just there. Another nod to the comics in which the human have a complete disregard for mortality, even their own. They even hold a brief ceremony where they take the failed pieces out of that person and try to insert them into themselves, so that way they live on through them. It's kind of messed up.
Who are you? Who else came?
No one. It's just me.
You must be joking. Do you know what you're up against?
I'm starting to get an idea.
These cells are lined with degenerators. We can't use our powers. Hurry up, you'll have to kill the electric fields.
So yeah, I want you to remember that literally every mutant we see in here, they're on their way to get brutally dissected. Now the degenerators that Quicksilver mentioned, they're not just a comic book thing, they're an actual game mechanic here. You can see blue orbs flying out of us and into that machine. Well, that machine is the degenerator. It's draining our powers. They never really explain why the degenerator doesn't stop me from generating shadow blades, but whatever. I like that there are some guys placed behind these barricades like they're playing a cover-based shooter instead of a beat-em-up. Honestly, I suppose it protects them a little bit more, but not enough. Also, we can parry their gunfire. I'm not sure if I showed that off. But yeah, we totally can.
The human are an evolving tapestry.
Please help me!
What is this
Help!
place? It's like something out of a horror movie.
We're fighting a war. We do what we have to do.
Well, this doesn't look like war. It looks more like torture.
An eye for an eye. The muties need to be brought down, whatever it takes.
No, no way. I mean, how could anything justify this?
It's time for our first encounter with the U-Man. We won't see many of them across the game, but they can be pretty formidable. This guy only has one mutant power, and it's a ground pound. We want to hit him once, and then jump away, and then hit him once again. That's basically the whole pattern here. You might make the mistake of trying to dodge, but the ground pound will hit you even if you dodge, so don't do that. So Adrian definitely thinks that torturing people is a no-no. He even stood up to his father to say so. Or, well, the disembodied ghost voice of his father. I like how we have to hear that one mutant guy getting hit with a stun stick the entire time we're in this hallway.
We gotta take this mutie out.
For this room, you obviously don't want to stand in the center and fight the guys in the hoodies when there are people with cocktails just back behind these barriers. I mean, maybe in normal mode you could, and it probably wouldn't do anything. You might notice that sometimes enemies turn red, and that's when we're siphoning health from them with our lifesteal power we got. Even on hard mode, the enemies die so quickly that I don't really think it's noticeable.
Evolving can only happen through extraction, observation, and analysis.
All personnel, we have a security breach.
Power down in South Block.
So fighting a single Purifier cleanser isn't nearly as difficult, though I do recommend not dodge rolling into their fire. They fire for a short period and then turn to re-aim. You can kinda set a mental timer for when they're about to turn, and after you do that, it's really easy.
I've been trying to locate you. There's something shielding your location. I sense so many other mutants further ahead. So many of them in pain. Hurry, find me.
Roger that, base. We'll bring in reinforcements to purify this beauty once and for all.
All the planning. This is tied to something way bigger.
I mean, I guess changing our lookup is fun, but there's a whole kind of X gene we haven't even seen yet, the utility X gene. The X genes are all randomized each playthrough though, so there's really nothing I can do about whether we see something when I think we should.
There you go, muties! Meet our future!
I like the way they introduced a Metal Gear Purifier stalker, but it's not really a difficult enemy. It's vulnerable when it's firing its machine guns. You have to hit its legs so it falls over, and you can hit the generator on its butt. If you're too close to its legs when it's not firing its machine guns, it will perform stomps, which can be easily enough jumped over, assuming you have a concept of timing. And you can make it fire its guns again simply by standing far away.
Thanks. Nice work. You and I can do this. The name's Surge.
You must be packing some serious voltage.
No small talk. We don't have a lot of time.
I can't believe they kept this lab a secret. I've never seen those lab guys before.
I think they've been trying to farm mutant genes. Some of them must be harder to synthesize than others.
That means if Pixie and Caliban were captured...
They can beam anywhere and find any damn mutant they want. Come on. We can't leave this place standing. There's a server room down the corridor. I'm hoping I can access data that might shed some light on what's going on here.
I'm in. Let's go.
Sweet. Hold them back while I access the server.
So she tells us to hold them off while we get the data, but we actually just have to defeat 31 of them. Unfortunately, this mission, like most of the others, is very tedious to look at, so I'm going to be skipping this one.
Sorry, muties, but you're not getting far!
For winning that mission, we get a snazzy Wolverine outfit, which, like the others, does absolutely nothing for us. So you might have noticed a while back that it looked like we upgraded to our last combo a second time, and this is because the checkpointing system in this game is weird, so I had to do it twice. That being said, the X gene we equipped right then deals extra damage from our enders to enemies, and he even stuns them. Now, we had an X gene that caused our enders to deal extra damage before, but not also stun them. And it helps that we got the first really useful combo. Actually, I suppose it's the only really useful combo because you only have 4. It acts as a decent replacement for our Edge Storm, which is our current M power. It actually performs pretty much the same function, especially with the X gene we currently have equipped, so it's pretty useful. You can see there's a Purifier cleanser over there, and if we really wanted to, we could let Surge take it out all by herself because she's invincible. And she deals decent damage on her own.
This isn't going to shut down the cell block. I can only interfere with the security grid. You'll have to time your jumps to get up to the control room.
This is really the closest thing the game has to a platforming challenge, but even on hard mode there's nothing here to talk about. If we get zapped by one of these electricity fields, we just go, ow, my hand! And then we go back onto platforming. It doesn't even really hurt.
How are you holding up?
I'm done with nipping. I'm going to grind this facility down to gravel. Hey, it's good to be meeting you.
Most of the cell blocks are open now. We just need to clear a path.
Then it's time for us to get out also.
There's still a mutant trapped up top.
Quicksilver. Well, you know he's a member of the Brotherhood. Perhaps we will have an early lunch, huh?
But isn't this a hero thing? I mean, if you leave him here, you're just as bad as the people who did this.
Relax, I was only teasing. We look after our own. Mutants are a family, Tovarish. And every family has a few black sheep.
I think I'm starting to understand you guys. We gotta save the last one.
We work together and everything will be fine. Like a team, my friend. If one mutant is still trapped, we stay for dead one. It's the X-Men way.
We're losing power to the containment units!
So the X-Men are definitely a lot more idealistic than the Brotherhood, which reminds me of something I couldn't bring up last video because I didn't have the time. When Gambit says he has a sense about you, there are two things he can say. If you have more Brotherhood faction, he warns you not to lose yourself. If you have more X-Men faction, he tells you that ideals can be a beautiful thing, but not to ignore reality. Now that's actually pretty neat, but it also must mean that Gambit's a psychic or something, because we barely talk to Gambit, and there's no way that he could know those things about us. I think they wanted to portray Gambit in this game as really smart, someone who holds all the cards and knows everything going on. But they didn't do a very good job of that, because when he does know something, there's no realistic way he could have obtained that information. In that last video, when we talked to him, he made a lot of foreshadowing to plot twists in this game that he couldn't possibly know anything about. And I think foreshadowing is a very beautiful thing when done properly, but letting your characters read the script is not how you do it properly.
Weaklings and simpletons. Magneto shouldn't have allowed himself to be influenced by Cyclops. He should have declared war on the humans from the start. An eye for an eye.
How can you say that?
Every atrocity they commit against us, it's our right and our duty to give it back to them. 10 times over.
Quicksilver, wait! Slow down!
What for?
Look, why are we going this way? Let's get out of this place.
Those are human! Do you know what that means? They dissect and experiment on mutants, and now they're in some insane alliance with the Purifiers. I'm not leaving here until this place is destroyed.
What can the Purifiers gain from the U-Men?
U-Men adapt their bodies with mutant body parts, vampirize our powers to sidestep the processes of evolution. If that doesn't already shake you to the core, think about what happens if the Purifiers can take advantage of that research in some way.
How could the Purifiers be part of something like this? How could they commit such atrocities?
Your naivete would be touching if it weren't so big and irritant.
Do you think Cyclops is right to work with Luis Reyes?
The authorities will always turn on us given time. Only a fool trusts humans. And Reyes was human last time I looked.
No, you were right about choices. You have to follow one path with no hesitation.
Safety for our kind lies in strength. Against this kind of provocation, we have the right to defend ourselves. And to hit back.
Well, Tovarish, shall we do some house cleaning before we smash this place to the ground?
They've alerted the whole compound by now. I don't know, maybe we should just go.
I don't know about what you stand for, but as part of the Brotherhood, I can't leave here until I know that every bit of our mutant DNA has been kept from any further violation. Now, are you gonna go with them, or are you gonna come with me?
Yeah. These guys need to be taught a lesson they won't forget.
So be it. I'll do it myself. Help Pietro. As Los Cosas go, he is an excellent one.
That's right. Come with me and you'll learn a few things. Let's start with never trusting humans or X-Men.
We're all in this together. I can't believe you're drawing lines in the sand now, Quicksilver.
Girl, when this is over, the Brotherhood will come after those who allowed it to happen. There'll be a reckoning.
Oh, there you are. Wherever you are, it's heavily shielded even against telepathy. It's really quite aggravating.
Get out of my mind, Emma! You don't have the right!
Yeah, glad you're back. Look, I found the missing mutants, but we're not out of trouble.
Not to worry. Clear out the Purifier miscreants, and I'll see about stealing their helicopter.
I'm so sorry you had to hear the audio break like that. I thought that we were in the clear, and that wasn't going to happen, but it did. So even though this is a Brotherhood mission, some good is definitely coming out of this. Emma's going to take the helicopter and use it to get our mutants out of here. I wish more of the missions had a kind of gray area like this, where what you're doing still ends in something ultimately good, but that's usually not how it goes. Also, I'm not going to make you watch this whole mission because, oh my god, 100 enemies. I will skip just a tiny bit ahead though to the interesting part of this mission, which yes, there is one. This is a Prime Enforcer, which you may recognize as the same suit Hodge was wearing. From now on, it will appear sometimes as a normal enemy. Its battle pattern here is the same as it was when we fought Hodge. It's exactly as difficult, there's no changes at all. Now, you might be thinking, because we see these as normal enemies from here on out, that we're not going to see it as a boss fight anymore. But no, that is very naive of you. These battle suits are still the most common boss fight in the game, and a lot of the most major encounters are going to take place against them. This game does have quite a few unique boss fights, but it reuses the battle suits so much that it kind of tramples all over that.
Well done. I'll get our friends out now that you've cleared the decks.
So after that mission, the game immediately drops us off into a less intimidating battle where we only have to kill 50 enemies. This is where we would have started from if we chose not to go with Quicksilver. Now back there you saw our first utility X gene, which adds another bar to our M-Power meter, which is not the kind of utility X gene I was hoping for. I mean, that would be very useful later in the game, but that's not what I wanted to show off. So the Purifiers, as has been established several times, are working with the U-Men. And at first we didn't know what the U-Men would want to work with the Purifiers for, or vice versa. Quicksilver said the Purifiers could take advantage of the research in some way, which isn't too hard to see. They could understand more about how mutants work and take them out from the inside out, so to speak. We still haven't seen any Purifiers using mutant powers like the U-Men have, but we can't rule that out completely. I mean, it would go against everything they believe to use those mutant powers, but, you know, since when are people not hypocrites? They're already being hypocritical by working with the U-Men to begin with, so, you know, what's one more step? What's one more rung on the ladder? I could have been in some real trouble there if I didn't have so many people working with me. It's time to fight another Prime Enforcer. Something I want to say is that I really actually like when boss enemies reappear as normal enemies because it gives you a sense of how far you've come, how much you've accomplished. But that doesn't work if you reuse it as a boss again later. Because then moments that are supposed to be big, meaningful, and dramatic just aren't. Oh dear lord, how do you even make audio do that?
Wait! Back up!
I'm feeling weak again. Mutant power dampeners. I'll shred those things with my teeth.
Listen, those damn things are sapping our powers.
Such incompetence! What kind of rescue is this?
Shut them down! Hurry!
Now, I want to point out something kind of smart and incredibly stupid at the same time. That room they're in, the walls are lined with those mutant power dampeners, the degenerators that we've seen. If you go back and look at that cutscene, the wall is lined with degenerators. So, you know, they actually made a visual representation of their powers being drained. Now here's the stupid part. Why did they walk into that room? I appreciate that I could actually see the thing draining their energy, but why did they walk into a room that was visibly lined with degenerators? So I think this fight right here is the only fight where we see human that don't have the ground pound ability. They can fly around and shoot lasers at us and stuff. What's funny is that there are statistics in this game for how many of which type of enemy you kill. And no matter how hard you try, you're only going to kill like 7 U-Men. So having a statistic for that seems kind of pointless. It seems like a complete waste to throw these guys at us here instead of earlier in the level. I mean, we're near the end of this facility. And we're never going to see these guys again. It's just a real shame. I like to think of John Sublime as the Go-Rog of X-Men Destiny. Both the Go-Rog in Force Unleashed 2 and John Sublime here are meant to highlight many of the things that were supposed to be special and interesting about both games. Now, I think John Sublime's boss fight is a lot better than the Go-Rog in Force Unleashed 2. You have to make heavy use of the dodge mechanic by dodging out of the way as soon as you see his arm move, which is the most use the dodge mechanic gets in this entire game, really, and it actually feels pretty good. This phase is almost the same as the first, except John Sublime is faster, and after you hurt him enough, he occasionally goes to heal himself, but the game immediately tells you how to fix that. So something else you wouldn't know unless you read the comics is that John Sublime is actually the leader of the human. He wrote the book that produced the human philosophy called The Third Species. And it was originally thought that the book only appealed to a small minority of people, but thanks to John Sublime's wealth, it grew into something much bigger. I'm not the absolute biggest fan of exposition, but I think a little bit is necessary. Now, when we get to the third phase, I'm just going to let you listen to it without my commentary because the music is really funny.
Well done, Tovarich. Now throw that thing down here. We need to destroy it.
A phenomenal performance. I'm sorry I only got the end of it. You realize what you're holding?
Stolen mutant powers.
Bien sûr. Extracted, concentrated, and turned into a drug. Please. That belongs with us, not with the human.
If they've got more machines like this, they'll have an army to throw against us.
Then an army is exactly what we need on our side.
Don't think you'll profit from this. Destroy it! It's a crime and an obscenity! The X-Men don't use such weapons.
Good call, on. There's a war coming and we all know it. Now we got one more weapon in our locker.
Ah! So much for trust. There has to be some difference between the good guys and the bad guys, Tovarich. Come. Cyclops will decide what to do with you.